He's trapped within the tombs because this is the only place society will allow him to dwell. Legion lives in a society. Keep reading the text, you'll find, well, the welfare of pigs are more of a concern than the welfare of people. Especially people who find themselves in a legion condition. See, legion is dead. Not physically dead, but mentally and spiritually dead. He's among the living dead. He's not living, he's just existing. Somehow, legion has slipped through the society's cracks, languishing in the tombs, and only those who make their money by revealing the pathology of the underclass are the only ones concerned with Legion's story. According to the Children's Defense Fund, the greatest threat to America's national security comes from no enemy without, but from our failure to protect, invest in, and educate all of our children who make up our futures. Every 11 seconds of every school day, a high school student drops out of school. Every 32 seconds, a baby is born into poverty. Every 41 seconds, a child is confirmed abused or neglected. Every 42 seconds, a baby is born without health insurance. Every minute, a baby is born to a teen mother. Every minute, a baby is born at low birth weight. Every 3 hours, every 4 hours, a child or teen is killed by a firearm. A majority of children in all racial and income groups cannot read or do math at grade level in 4th grade, 8th grade, or 12th grade, and over 80% of Hispanic and black children, who with other minority children will constitute a majority of the population in 2023, are behind in those grade levels if they're not already have dropped out of school. We are growing a legion condition. A whole population that, if we're not careful, will be the majority. Grooming would be legions. And church, you can't build your way more prisoners out of this problem. You just can't. And with those types of statistics, ought to be some grieving going on. When you read those statistics, that's not a moment to say shout, amen, make it plain, rep. There ought to be some grieving right there. Ought to be some grieving as we watch our future husbands, wives, fathers, mothers, role models, and potential leaders dying in a society that does not care. They're dying to gangs, dying to racism, dying to drunkenness, dying to black on black crime, dying to internal and external annihilation. But then again, since we have what I like to call the ghettoization of America, Legion just ain't black and brown. Legion got a little white in it too. Amen. When one is in a legion condition, living in a society that does not care, they spend the vast majority of their time dwelling among the tombs until they explode. When you examine the text, you find that Legion is now fed up. He's fed up with society and he's angry. Scriptures tell us that no one can bind him anymore. That chains couldn't hold this brother. Luke paints not only a picture of Legion's frustration, but he draws for us an analysis of how society deals with uncomfortable issues. There's a tragic pattern that we read about during Legion's Day that has been followed too closely throughout time. There has been the blind trust in the use of force as the only answer in dealing with conditions where force is no answer at all. Rather, it is an aggravation of the problem. Legion is immune to force. What does Legion care about force? He's using force on himself. That's what Anybody who doesn't love themselves is in a legion condition. This person finds themselves in a spiritual famine because there is no self-love. A person who does not love themselves will do things to themselves and others that they wouldn't normally do. How one treats another individual is a direct reflection on how they feel about themselves. That's why I added that Mark passage in there for you, because Mark says, night and day among the tombs he was always howling and bruising himself. So that's not the behavior of somebody who feels good about themselves, somebody overflowing with confidence and self-esteem. That is the behavior of someone who does not love themselves for whatever reason. And in order to take away the pain on the inside, Legion focuses its pain on the outside. If you don't love yourself, nothing else matters. Doesn't matter where you live. Doesn't matter how many friends you have. Doesn't matter how much money you have. If you don't have self-love, you've got a problem. I heard Jesus say the other day, love your neighbor as yourself. But if you don't love yourself, your neighbor's in trouble. Your neighbor's going to catch some hell. Legion doesn't love himself or others. He's angry, but he takes that on himself via a path of self-destruction. He doesn't like it, evident by his behavior, but he accepts it, evident by his lack of action to change it. Legion must be the one to decide that a change is in order. One can have an overabundance of help, but it's the way Reverend Charles Adams, Hartford, Detroit says that the doors of opportunity can be wide open, but they'll do you no good if you're too drunk to stagger through. But believe it or not, in spite of everything I said, there is good news in this text. There is good news for anybody who's ever found themselves in a legion condition. Text tells us that when Jesus stepped out of the boat, he was met by a man with an unclean spirit. For some unknown reason, the man who has an unclean spirit recognizes there's something different about this one who just stepped off the boat. This man who has an unclean spirit, this man who dwells among the tombs night and day, bruising himself with stone, this man who has lost his identity, recognizes Jesus. Hard to recognize Jesus and still want to remain static. It's hard to turn your back on the one who came to redeem humankind. It's hard to ignore the one who, as the old folks who stepped off of nowhere onto somewhere and made everywhere. It's hard to ignore the one who did for men and women what men and women couldn't do for themselves. It's hard to ignore the one who was both resurrection and life. And Jesus did for Legion what society wasn't able to do. He gave Legion a single and purposeful identity. And he does it by asking one question. What is your name? Who are you? Right there. That's where the transformation begins. Should we read down further? We see Jesus demonstrating his transforming power as he performs an exorcism, thus freeing this man of his unclean spirit. So when the people went out to see what was going on, they saw this man sitting there in his right mind. But it all began by Jesus asking, what is your name? Now, we know from the text that no one could bind him anymore. Not even with chains. We know that Legion was breaking chains in pieces. We know also that from the text that when he saw Jesus, when he ran up and bowed down and said, now what have you to do with me, Jesus? No one else has bothered to deal with me, but you see, I am a demoniac. I hang out in these tombs. In other words, these demons are in control of my life. Surely you've heard of my howling day and night and bruising myself with stones. I'm the one you see on the evening news whenever they talk about the social ill of society. I don't necessarily care for my situation, but it is familiar. And given the fact that no one else has bothered to help me, Jesus, I seriously doubt that you will be any different. Since you don't understand me or care about me, I want to know, what did you have to do with me? See, I'm the one that every 46 seconds drops out of school. I'm the one that every 95 seconds is born into poverty. I'm the one that every 11 minutes is arrested for a violent crime. I'm the one that every 4 hours is murdered. You see, Jesus, I saw you when you got off the boat. I already heard you were the son of the Most High God. I heard of your wonderful miracles. I heard that you turned water into wine. I heard that you calmed the stormy sea. I heard that you fed 5,000. And frankly, while I believe my personal situation is hopeless, something within me that hopeth the reins. Something within me that banishes pain. Something within me I cannot explain touched my soul. And I said, I must tell Jesus all of my trials. I cannot bear these burdens alone. Isn't that interesting? That in spite of Legion's anger, rage, and distrust and sarcasm, when you read the text, it's Legion who initiates the conversation with Jesus. And Jesus looked beyond Legion's tough exterior to see an intern that was crying out for help. Jesus looked beyond Legion's fault and saw his need. Jesus provides us with a great example of digging beneath the surface, getting at the root cause of Legion's pain. Legion, my brother, I want to tap into your humanity because I believe I got a new identity for you, one whose foundation is based on love and mercy. See, Jesus handles Legion with the same calm and courageous manner that he handles you and I when we're in our Legion condition by simply asking, what's your name? Let's start with your humanity because you're much more than the condition that you're in right now. All Jesus asked was, what is your name? Who are you? He didn't ask about Legion's past. Didn't ask about Legion's lifestyle. He didn't ask what was the cause of your Legion condition. He just said, what is your name? Who are you? That which Legion was missing, Jesus had in abundance. Legion, you may not love yourself, but I've got some love for you, brother. Society may not want to have anything to do with you, but you can find comfort in the comfort. And when we show love for Jesus, that's when self-love grows for us. Because Jesus showed love for Legion. Legion can then find love for himself. And that love put Legion in his right mind, enabling him to return to a society that once wanted nothing to do with him. Jesus had given Legion a new identity. This man had once been possessed, was now on his way home to tell his friends what the Lord had done for him. That's why our ancestors said, I wasn't going to tell nobody. But I couldn't keep it to myself. What the Lord has done for me. The point of this message is to remind you that the same Jesus can do for you and me what he did for this man who answered by the name of Legion. All of us, at some point, if we're honest, will find ourselves in a Legion condition. It will happen. On some level, this passage serves as a microcosm of the overarching theme of the gospel narrative. Jesus enters a region of the living dead, rescues and delivers the spiritually oppressed person he finds there, and sends them back to the community to be missionaries for his movement. The renewing power of Christ is revealed, and a human person is made new. In this story lies the core of the gospel. Salvation is found. This narrative provides an